Muted.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2016 Vermont Mentoring Month webinar for mentoring programs across the state. My name is Benji Thurber, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm the Communications and Technology Manager at Mobius, Vermont's mentoring partnership. Today we're going to talk about National Mentoring Month, which is January 2016, and ways that mentoring programs across the state can get involved with the larger campaign. I'm going to start the webinar here by going over the agenda for what we're looking to cover over the course of the next 45 minutes or so. I'm going to start by just providing a general overview of what National Mentoring Month is, so giving you updates on the national campaign as well as Mobius's Vermont Mentoring Month campaign and our sponsors here in Vermont. And specifically, I'll talk a little bit more about our keynote event, which is the annual mentoring celebration at the State House, which this year is going to be on Thursday, January 14th. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit more about resources that Mobius can provide specifically for mentoring programs. So I'll be introducing what we call the Vermont Mentoring Month Toolkit, which includes complementary materials, different media outreach resources. We talk a little bit about ways that we can help programs promote their own events to us before and after the fact, and how you guys can get involved in social media and just sort of the larger public awareness outreach campaign. Lastly, we have a little how-to guide on how to reach out to businesses and specifically restaurants to organize a benefit night for your program in your local community. After that, I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we as sort of a collective group, Mobius and mentoring programs and supporters across the state, can advocate for mentoring and talk to legislators to help keep mentoring funding in the budget and hopefully increase it in the future. And lastly, we're going to spend some time talking about just past programs and successes, ideas for this year, and I'll do my best to answer any questions that people might have on the call. So I'm going to start by talking about National Mentoring Month and sort of what the focus and changes are to this year's campaign. For those of you who are familiar with National Mentoring Month from the past, the previous slogan and theme was "Be someone who matters to someone who matters," as well as focusing specifically on the mentoring effect, which was a larger study that the National Mentoring Partnership Mentor released in 2014. There's been a shift this year to a new campaign. The new slogan is, as you can see in the image here, "In real life." And the idea being, according to Mentor, the theme Mentor in real life allows mentoring supporters and mentors to talk about the real life tangible benefits of mentoring. The purpose and thinking behind the strategy is to position mentoring as a critical component in young people's lives, helping them to make the decisions that ultimately lead to improved opportunities and connections, which has, again, a tangible impact in real life. I think it's really interesting that they've gone in this direction because obviously, as we're looking to expand the reach of mentoring, we're sort of caught between trying to promote the specific statistical impacts that mentoring has while also trying to make mentoring seem accessible and not kind of like this detached, closed-off thing for potential volunteers that we're trying to pull in to increase the number of mentors. And I think that this campaign does a good job of really, as you can see from this image as one example, capturing a mentor and mentee in a real-life activity and making it seem like something that's much more accessible for a potential volunteer than some of their images and outreach materials from the past. So here we have a mentor and the mentee raking leaves together. Some of the other images from the campaign have a mentor pair playing chess. Another one has them riding bikes together. So you get the general idea behind what I'm trying to get across there. So the partners for this campaign, and this is year 15 of the National Mentoring Month campaign, it's spearheaded by Mentor, the National Mentoring Partnership, in collaboration with the Harvard School of Public Health and then with financial support from the Highland Street Foundation. And the In Real Life campaign is actually, this is sort of the launch of a larger recruitment campaign that goes beyond just National Mentoring Month for this year, but is really a big recruitment and public awareness push that Mentor is making, along with the support of some larger national partners in LinkedIn and the NBA. So where does that fit in locally? So Mobius, if you're not familiar with sort of what our role is, we act as a statewide mentoring partnership, and so we're the Vermont state affiliate of Mentor, and really we spearhead the more localized public awareness efforts here in Vermont. And so throughout the month of January, we're partnering with you and other mentoring programs and supporters from the state government, from local businesses, local foundations, to highlight the benefits that mentoring has for young people, and then also just raise overall awareness of the need for more volunteers here in Vermont. Mentor estimates that there is the need for around 9 million more mentors for kids across the country, and here in Vermont we estimate that number is about 15,000 or so. So I'm going to pause for a second here as we're talking about the Vermont Mentoring Month festivities to give a shout out to our sponsors for this year. We have Redstone Commercial Group returning as our largest sponsor. They actually stepped up to be the title sponsor this year. Comcast, NBC Universal, which was our media sponsor the last 2 years, has agreed to be to also sponsor an award for Mentor of the Year, which will be presented at our celebration at the State House in January. And then we have other new sponsors this year: Green Mountain Power, Cabot, KeyBank, Local Muscle is returning from last year, and we have new sponsors for Vermont Mentoring Month of Hunger Mountain Co-op in Montpelier, Heritage Aviation, and then 802cars.com. I'm going to get a little bit more into some of the resources that Mobius can provide for programs to sort of do general outreach and participate in the campaign. But I wanted to start off talking more specifically about our keynote event, which is the mentoring celebration at the State House, which is a statewide event that convenes mentoring programs, mentors, mentees, and supporters from all across Vermont for kind of one celebratory gathering in Montpelier at the State House. So this year's event, we just confirmed as of the end of last week, will be held on Thursday, January 14th. It will start at 9:30 a.m. and conclude at 2:30 in the afternoon. So what happens at this event? Every year, the governor of Vermont, the past 2 years obviously, it's been Peter Shumlin, has given a proclamation announcing that January is National Mentoring Month in Vermont. And similarly, we've had the Vermont House of Representatives introduce a resolution that's read on the House floor. Our spokesperson for this year is going to be Michael Sherling, who's a recently retired police chief of Burlington. As I mentioned earlier, Comcast is going to be presenting the Vermont Mentor of the Year Award at the event. We have a voting process underway, which I will touch on a little bit more in a couple minutes here. But you can definitely participate in that process and read the stories for all 10 nominees. We're going to have free guided State House tours for anybody who comes to the event. There will be complimentary lunch. One unfortunate thing is that due to some of the spacing constraints of the State House, we're using the room that has the largest capacity for holding this type of event. But the morning portion of things are going to be probably capped at about 100 people in total. And so we'll need to get a better sense of how many people, how many programs and how many people are hoping to participate, and we may have to cap the amount of people that can come, at least to the first part of the event, by program, because the capacity of the room we use is about 100 people. So I'm going to jump into the an introducing the Vermont Mentoring Month Toolkit for this year in a minute. But I wanted to start by just touching on and giving you sort of a visual sense of what the free Mentoring Month materials are for this year that Mobius can offer to mentoring programs. And so we have two different versions of the sticker that we've introduced over the last couple of months. The first one is I am a mentor, intended for mentors to have, and then we have a second one that is similarly branded that is I support mentoring. The second thing that we're going to be able to offer is complimentary posters. And we're looking to have this include the national branding for National Mentoring Month. And this particular photo of the mentor pair with raking leaves together, you may recognize as actually a mentor pair from Vermont, from Big Brothers Big Sisters of Windham County. But so that we're looking to feature that photo on the poster that we'll be putting out later this month. So I am now going to jump to showing you all how to access the Vermont Mentoring Month Toolkit. And so it's all easy to find right on the Mobius website. So if you go to mobiusmentors.org, the first thing you're going to see when you enter here is actually the Comcast voting for the Vermont Mentor of the Year. So actually, I'm going to start by showing you that page, just giving a shout out to all the nominees there. So if you click on that image when you first show up at the Mobius site, it'll bring up this page here, which lists all 10 nominees for this year's Vermont Mentor of the Year Award. And so you can read their stories, kind of meet the different mentors out there. And when you decide on somebody that you want to vote for, there's a form here where you can pick one of them as your choice for the Mentor of the Year Award. It's been a successful process so far. We've already had close to 150 people submit votes, and we only announced this yesterday. So keep people coming here, and we're hopeful that it'll be a great way to not only highlight one particular volunteer story, but also get more people reading about different volunteers and different mentors and the great work that they're doing in the community just to help raise awareness. Now, returning to the Mobius homepage, I'm going to show you all how to access the toolkit. So the second image that you're going to see here is a link to our National Mentoring Month page. So you'll see here, this provides an overview of what National Mentoring Month is, sort of some of the stuff I've already covered on the webinar today, just talking about the new Mentor in Real Life campaign and also what Mobius's role is in promoting stuff locally. But then we have, if you scroll down, a series of resources that you can access. Anything you see in orange on our site is a hyperlink. And if you right-click on any of these files, you can save them or open them. So the first two things you'll see up at the top are we have our mentoring PSA, which some of you will recognize from last year, which just talks about what the mentoring need is here in Vermont and also some of the benefits of mentoring for youth. There's also here a social media tutorial, which is for any of you out there who really are just want to get involved with having a Facebook or a Twitter page, some sort of online presence to promote your program and your activities. This gives you a tutorial for actually how to start a Facebook or a Twitter page. So I wanted to make those prominent because there's a lot of you out there who are doing really a fantastic job of promoting mentoring through those different social media outlets. But there's also a pretty substantial number of people who just don't have a presence at all, and we would love to work with you to help you figure out how to get started. As far as National Mentoring Month goes, though, we have this first file that you can download, the National Mentoring Month Guide, which is really just an overview of a lot of what we've talked about so far, but I'll show you just quickly what you can access here. This gives you a downloadable document that you could share with your supporters and have access to some of the other files that we're going to talk about as we go through. So the first page is really just kind of an overview again of what the campaign is, what's going on here locally. And then the second page gives you kind of a sense of what all the different resources are that Mobius can provide, and you'll see that there's hyperlinks for each of these categories. So there's a link to the program directory, there's a link to the PSA, to our social media guide sheet, and to any of the resources that we talk about, as well as just kind of a quick cheat sheet on what the important dates are in the campaign. The complimentary promotional materials we talked about, if you click on the link here, this will actually bring you to a sign-up form where you can ask for how many posters you'd like to reserve, how many stickers, and then you can either pick them up from us at the Mobius office or we can actually mail them to you as well. But you just need to fill out the short form to let us know what you're looking for. The next form below that is an event submission form. So as I've mentioned before, we'd love to help promote your local program events online. And so if you send us that information, and that the easiest way to do that is to use this form, this will just give us kind of like a who, what, where, when, and what happened at the event. And we will accept stuff through email and through just other outreach as well, but this is a quick and easy way for you to get us information. The next link below that is our mentoring events calendar, and so if you give us information about your event in advance, then we can actually add it to our events calendar here, which is something that it's a mentoring-centric calendar where we actually feature stuff that's going on that is relevant really to more than one mentoring program for the most part, but specifically during January, we really try to highlight everything that programs are doing just to kind of capture the breadth of what's out there. The next thing on the list here is what we've called our Dine Out for Mentoring Guide, and this is a how-to on how to organize a benefit dinner for your mentoring program. You can also use this as a resource for other types of benefits that might not necessarily be a restaurant, but like it's a general sense that's usually how people have used this in the past. So as you can see, it kind of walks you through the steps on how you can best, basically where to start as you're looking for a business in your community to partner with. It includes some tips. So obviously reaching out to somebody that supported your program in the past can be effective. Making use of people who are connected to your program who may have connections to your business that you don't know about, such as your mentors and or people from your advisory council. The other thing too is a lot of restaurants will have existing programs where they're looking to partner with different nonprofits and programs in the community, and you may be able to tie into something that they're already doing. So the next step here is kind of creating a plan. So figuring out what you're looking for, trying to come up with what the business would give to you, and sort of how you might be able to best make use of the night to help raise awareness and also attract more volunteers. So events like this can be a way to raise money for your program, but also a way to kind of get in touch with community members and make them aware of the work that you're doing and that there's an opportunity for them to get involved as well. The next couple of steps here are just talking about promoting your night to the public and also ways that you can use Mobius as a resource. So promoting your event, I would say, like, again, making use of your mentors and your advisory council members. Like, they're the lifeblood of your program, and they're going to be great liaisons to other people that they know in their networks that they may be able to pull in, not just to support you at that night and to get more people to come out, but they might also end up becoming mentors or donors to your program as a result too. Obviously sharing through your social media and website and through other local outlets in your town. So if you have Front Porch Forum, school newsletter, local newspapers are great about hosting events like this as well. And then I brought up Mobius before. We can talk events up like this through our social media outlets. We have about 1,500 followers on Facebook, for example. You can also, we'll also be putting out a weekly just mailing of different National Mentoring Month events during the month of January. Specifically highlight your event if you give us the information in advance. So in addition to sort of what we've covered so far, Mobius can also, for any restaurant that supports a mentoring program during National Mentoring Month, we can give them some additional publicity as well. We usually create a banner and a space on our website where we'll highlight every restaurant that supported the mentoring program during January. So you can definitely use that as a part of your pitch. And if you're looking for more direct technical support, I'm happy to help guide you through the process of doing this. I've set up a bunch of similar type events in the past, and I've worked with mentoring programs and doing it in other communities too. So I'm now going to go back to our little list of different resources here and jump into our social media guide sheet. But first of all, the guide below this, how to create and manage a social media page, I'm not going to focus on that one so much for this webinar, but we would love to help you if you don't have a social media following at the moment, or you're just getting started and are looking for kind of a way to get more people involved. We'd be happy to provide that as a resource too. As I mentioned, there's also, we have a video tutorial on how to do that, and we offer that as just a technical support resource too. But I'm going to focus on the social media guide sheet here that's more specific to National Mentoring Month. So this social media guide here is sort of set up to do two different things. It kind of gives you more broadly, again, like ties into what the national campaign is looking to accomplish, what the key talking points are. So as I mentioned several times already, the theme of National Mentoring Month is Mentor in Real Life, talking about the real life benefits of mentoring. So some of the key messages and talking points here, just as you're thinking about how to structure your own posts and how that might tie in. Mentoring has an impact in real life, and that some of those impacts are improved academic, social, and economic prospects. Really building on the urgency of the need for mentors. As a community, we can't afford to leave mentoring to chance. Mentors have really been trying to hammer that home over the last couple of years. And also just getting on the benefits for the mentor in addition to just the young person, really trying to show how both people grow as a result of a mentoring relationship, which really ties into the broader theme of building more connected communities, and also just makes the idea of mentoring, I think, more accessible and more appealing to potential volunteers. The next step here we have is, again, just to save the dates. What are the biggest dates that you're going to want to know during January? So as far as the national campaign goes, there's I Am a Mentor Day, which is really trying to make a big push to have anybody who is a mentor or who has been a mentor post about it on their own social media outlets and talk to people in their network about their experience and why they think it's valuable. This year, I'd like to say that we did this intentionally, but it actually was more that it coincided with the governor's schedule. But our Vermont Mentoring Celebration at the State House is actually also going to be on I Am a Mentor Day. So we're almost certainly going to find a way to incorporate that into the event, and I'm sure that we can find some fun ways to do that. January 18th is this year's Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service. That's obviously a celebration not just of mentoring, but of just volunteerism and giving back to the community in general. But it's a great opportunity to tie mentoring into that larger conversation as well. January 21st is Thank Your Mentor Day, and that's just an opportunity for anybody who's had a mentor to post about the impact that person had in his or her life. Lastly, the National Mentoring Summit, which is a big national mentoring conference hosted by Mentor each year in Washington, D.C., will be at the end of the month from the 27th to the 29th. I'll be there, and I think, I'm not sure if anybody on this call is going to be joining me, but there certainly will be a pretty good showing of mentoring program staff from Vermont as well. Step 3 here is really bringing things more into what are some ideas that you can have for how to engage people on social media and have a strategy that is multifaceted and it isn't just kind of like doing the same thing over and over again. So here are some just basic ideas like changing your profile picture and cover photo. And I'm going to show you some links after this where you can get all of these images that are correctly sized and sort of tailored to these different social media outlets too. Make sure that you're including hashtags that tie into the larger campaign. So the big one that Mentor has introduced this year is Mentor IRL, which is short for Mentor in Real Life, and then also, of course, National Mentoring Month. Mentor also has a variety of digital images available that range from infographics to PSAs. I also mentioned that Mobius has the Vermont-specific PSA, which would be a great thing to share as well. And I'll show you how to access that link shortly. Looking at different social media platforms and sort of figuring out which one makes the most sense based off of what you and your program have for a following and sort of how you're engaging with your constituents. So Mobius generally focuses on Facebook and Twitter primarily. LinkedIn is another great one to make use of. It's not in this list for some reason. YouTube is a great way to share video content, and then Instagram is also just another way, more specifically, to share photos that can also be linked to Facebook and you can post simultaneously. Making sure that you're discussing, again, like the real-life impacts of mentoring. So talking about if you have any stats that are specific to your program or are specific to mentoring, it would be great to throw those in. And then like the anecdotal aspects of mentoring too, like getting quotes from your mentors and your mentees and putting them out there. Sometimes those can be the most appealing things that you can find as far as trying to attract new volunteers. And connect it to the community. And so I've been talking a lot about how to kind of bring this into the national conversation and have it be a part of a larger movement, but make sure that you're making it really specific or having it tied to your local program and your local town as well. And so just having it feel like it's both localized but also a part of a larger conversation. The second page of the guide here is some more tangible stuff that you can pull from. I have links to the Facebook profile picture badge, which I can show you what that is in a second. And then it's sort of sized as well for Twitter, because Twitter requires a different size image for its profile picture. So Mentor has been kind enough to create different versions of these National Mentoring Month images this year that really fit well for each type of social media platform. There's a thank you post, which is the image I showed you earlier of the mentor pair that are breaking leaves together. That's actually a Vermont-based pair. That's an image that you can take and share on Facebook as well as a thank you to people who mentor. The PSA link here will take you directly to where Mobius's PSA is hosted on YouTube. I'm going to just quickly show you what that profile picture looks like. So if you click on that link from that document, it'll bring you here. And so this is what the National Mentoring Month profile picture looks like for this year. It again has National Mentoring Month and then also includes the in real life. So it's a little bit different than the badge that people have used in years past, but it's another great resource for you to have your mentors change their profile picture to this, even if it's just for one day or 1 week during January. It can be a great way to tie into the larger mentoring movement and then also to get their friends and people who are following them to stop and think, hey, what is this thing? What is National Mentoring Month? I want to learn more about this. Lastly here, we just have some common language from the campaigns. I've created just sort of a sample post that you might be able to use for each of the 4 weeks during National Mentoring Month this year. I mean, each one kind of has a different theme. The first week is really kind of introducing to everybody that January is National Mentoring Month. The second week is focused more on I Am a Mentor Day, and as I mentioned before, I Am a Mentor Day coincides with the Vermont Mentoring Month celebration, and so that's something that you could also tie into your posts from that week too. Third week of January is really focused more on Thank Your Mentor Day, and so mentees and former mentees being able to reach out and really share the effects that having a mentor had on them. And the last week of the month is kind of a recap of National Mentoring Month, looking at like what the need is moving forward. And I think it's a great time to take the action step of asking people to get involved. And so the post that I've included here talks about the benefits of mentoring, but also includes a link to the Mobius website where people can search for mentoring programs throughout Vermont and find one that's in their community that fits their interests and schedule. You'll notice for each of these posts I've included language that ties into the national campaign as well as the hashtags that are relevant to the campaign as well. So again, the Mentor IRL, Mentor in Real Life, National Mentoring Month, and then example for I Am a Mentor Day, the I Am a Mentor Day hashtag. Those are just kind of a few samples, and you really may want to create your own postings that are more geared towards just sort of the general themes I talked about in the first page of that guide. But this is just trying to give you some resources and a starting point. If you're looking for more pre-made content, a great place to go to is actually, and we have a link to it here, the National Toolkit page. And so Mentor actually has several posts for each of the weeks and themes for different media platforms included in their national version of the National Mentoring Month Toolkit. You also can get more images as well outside of the ones that I'm sharing. It's kind of a basic overview. Now, the next thing that I wanted to talk about is how you can promote mentoring in the media and how Mobius can help you with that process as well. And so because of the larger awareness campaign during January, it's a great opportunity to get the word out about events that your program might be holding or specific volunteers you'd like to highlight. It's really just a pre-made designated time for highlighting your work, and having that sort of broader national layer to it makes any story that you have about mentoring be more appealing to people in the news. So the first thing I have listed here is our Vermont Mentoring Month press announcement, which is currently coming soon. It'll be released, and you'll be able to find it on this page later this month. We want to offer it as a broader resource to really take any information from that to tie what you're doing locally and your outreach to media outlets in your community, to have it to give them a sense of what the broader mentoring movement is throughout the state, to help you in your outreach. Then we also have a media alert template. Those of you who have worked with us in years past are probably familiar with this, but this is just a document that I created that really gives you everything you need to kind of just plug in information for events that you're hosting to, for example, send information out to a local newspaper or TV station and kind of give them, to speak their language and give them information in a way that they can easily see what's going on, see why it's important, and really get a sense of whether or not it's something that's newsworthy that they would be excited to cover. So it's really, I call this the what, when, who, where, how, and why of media outreach. generally, I would say this is geared more towards talking to TV stations, but it also works well with local newspapers too and radio stations. So really, it's giving them the name of the event, the date, who's involved, where it's happening, and then the how and why, and sort of making sure you tie it into the larger aspects of what's going on for National Mentoring Month too. And at the bottom, I always think it's important to make sure that you leave information about who that can actually be interviewed, or who's actually going to be at the event that might be notable, just so they know in advance and you're being transparent. And then also a link to where they can find more information about mentoring and about just the larger campaign that you're involved with, sort of how this event fits in. In addition to those two resources, Mobius does a pretty big PR push throughout the month where we're really actively trying to go on local radio stations, get TV stories and newspaper stories with really like the larger, more regional or statewide media outlets. And we're always looking for programs and mentor stories to promote as a part of that process. And so if you have anybody that you think would be that would sort of fit that billing of like, a really successful mentoring story, a mentor who's really charismatic and would be interested in going on the radio, definitely let us know and reach out. We're always looking for opportunities like that, and we'd love to partner with you. The last piece I'm going to talk about here very briefly is advocating for mentoring. As many of you know, and actually probably many of the people listening to this, either now live or after the fact in the recording, have received funding through this process before, but Mobius receives a $170,000 grant each year from the Department of Children and Families here in Vermont, specifically to fund mentoring programs. And 100% of that funding goes out to programs. There's another private foundation that pays actually for the administration cost of administering the grant on Mobius's end. This funding is really pretty crucial. It represents about half of the mentoring funding in the Vermont mentoring grants that goes out to programs. And so especially this year, more than, maybe even more so than in years past, it's important that we collectively do our best to let legislators know about mentoring programs in their local communities, the positive impact that they're having, and how important that funding specifically is to keeping those programs going, thriving, and continuing to grow and supporting youth in their communities. As we talked about earlier, Mobius has the State House celebration each year, so that's a great way for us to connect with the governor, with the legislators, and really have them experience firsthand by meeting mentors and mentees the benefits that mentoring is having. But in addition to that, we strongly encourage you, as you have your own local program events in January and throughout the year too, make sure that you're looking to reach out to your local legislators, inviting them to those events, and just really making sure that they are aware of the work that you're doing in your community. And so that when they hear about mentoring and they hear about funding opportunities as they're figuring out different bills and budgets in the state government, that they really understand the positive impacts of mentoring. And if you're not familiar with who the local state senators and state representatives are in your community, we have a link here on this Vermont Mentoring Toolkit page actually to find your local legislators. It sort of takes you to where you need to go on the vermont.gov website to locate the people who are in your community. So I think that pretty much wraps up the portion of this webinar where I get to just talk and listen to myself for for 45 minutes or so here, and I would love to have you all chime in and really ask any questions you have, and then also I would hope that we would have some time here as well to maybe share some ideas and some past successes that people have had with celebrating National Mentoring Month in previous years. So I'm going to unmute you all now, and feel free to chime in.
Hi, Benji. This is Beth. In the past, we've done an event at the Teen Center in Swanton, just a mentor celebration, and we've also had the mayor of St. Albans issue a proclamation declaring it National Mentoring Month in St. Albans.
That's great. One thing I forgot to mention earlier in this call was that this year Mobius is hoping to have the I'm going to butcher the name right now as we're talking live, but the League of Vermont Mayors, if that's what it's called, issue a joint proclamation, and so I would love to work with you on that if you already have a connection to the mayor of St. Albans.
Great. This year we're partnering with, I'm hoping this is going to work out. The idea is that we're going to offer a service day in partnership with Chester's Promise, which is an equine assistance program that rescues horses. And so mentors and mentees will have the opportunity to go on Martin Luther King Day from 1 to 3, learn about the program and do some helping out, maybe brushing horses and that kind of thing. And from that may come some ongoing service opportunities.
That's great. Thanks for sharing, Beth.
Sure.
Yeah, Catherine, I can't tell if you're on this call or not. For some reason on my end it's showing you as not audio on, but if you're there, could you share about some of the past events that Community Friends has held during January? It looks like Catherine might not be connected. Oh, hi, Catherine.
Hi. I'm sorry, I wasn't sure. So what we've done in the past is simply had an event for, usually with my program in King Street, we've done an open gym and pizza night. So we really focused on less about the PR aspect and more just kind of doing something for the kids in the program. So,
which is great. A lot of what we're talking about on this call is specific to kind of like the larger awareness campaign, because that's what
right.
Mobius's broader focus is. But this is National Mentoring Month is also just a great time to kind of get together, collaborate with other programs in your community, and just really celebrate the positive impact that mentoring is having as a group.
Yeah. Yep. So, and we'll probably do a little more PR this year. I'll probably do a little more PR this year because we really need new mentors. So we could really use a little pump, a little pick-me-up here.
Great. Kelly, not to pick on you, but I wanted to just check in and see if Middleton had any plans to participate in National Mentoring Month events during January this year.
Well, I am pretty new, so I've been sort of thinking and brainstorming as I've been listening to this call, and we will for sure be very active on social media. And I'm meeting with my mentoring advisory committee tonight, and kind of going to see what their thoughts are about whether they want to, or what they think about what kind of event might work for us in Milton, or whether a push to get a few of our mentor pairs to the State House might be a better option. But yeah, like I said, pretty new, but definitely thinking about what we can do to participate.
Great. So I'm going to say this to you, Kelly, but also to anybody else who's listening on the webinar as the recording portion of this. Any programs who are sort of, have staff members who are new to mentoring, it might be a new program, or even if you've been running a program for a while but haven't really actively participated in National Mentoring Month in the past, I'm happy to be a resource for you and really give you advice and help you brainstorm ideas on how you might be able to get involved in your community. So again, feel free to reach out to me. I'll give my contact information at the end here after we wrap things up.
Thanks.
Thanks, Benji.
So would anybody else, does anybody else have any questions about any of the resources that we're offering this year, or anything about the State House event, or anything else that's a part of Vermont Mentoring Month for 2016?
It looks really good, Benji. You've done a great job with all that stuff. That sort of the stuff that's already set up will be really helpful. The press releases and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. Let's see. Is
Benji,
anybody else? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I've already taken advantage of your of that link. I really love that easy link to get stuff posted. So thanks for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. So I think we're probably getting a little close to 2 o'clock now. I can give you guys 5 extra minutes back if nobody else has any other questions. You can also feel free to reach out to me after this call too, and we can talk things through. I'm going to be a resource throughout the rest of this month and also throughout January as well. My contact information at Mobius is you can call me at 802-658-1888, and then my email address is just my first name, Benji, B-E-N-J-I, at mobiusmentors.org. And you can also find all that information as well on the Mobius website, which I'm just going to jump back to quickly here. Again, you can find all the information we talked about on this call from the Mobius homepage. So if you go to mobiusmentors.org, all you have to do is either go to under the For Mentoring Programs menu, the first option is the 2016 Vermont Mentoring Month Toolkit, or click on this image for Vermont Mentoring Month, and it'll bring you to this page where really everything is kind of housed in a central location. And yes, so we look forward to partnering with everybody for National Mentoring Month again this year, and hope to see many of you, especially at the State House celebration on Thursday the 14th. Thanks everybody for joining me on the call today. And
thank you, Benji.
Best wishes for the holidays as well.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.